Every woman believes she chooses whom to love, but her biology chooses first. Her pulse reacts before she thinks. Her instincts judge before she speaks. Her brain releases chemicals long before she feels connection. Machiavelli understood this without science. Attraction is not a decision, it's a pattern. A touch sparks dopamine. Warmth creates oxytocin. Silence triggers cortisol. And suddenly, what feels like love is just chemistry doing its job. In this video, you'll see the dark psychological pattern every woman falls for without realizing it, and how awareness breaks the spell. Before we begin, write in the comments, "I'm ready to wake up," because once you see the script, you can never unsee it. Here's the first hack to take advantage of. You must absolutely understand what her biology scans before her mind even forms a thought. Long before she decides whether she likes a man, her nervous system is already making the real choice. It happens in milliseconds. An ancient instinct checking one simple thing. Does she feel safe in his presence? Not safe as in softness, safe as in stability. A calm tone that doesn't shift suddenly. A gaze that isn't frantic or needy. A posture that doesn't collapse when there's tension. Tiny signals that bypass logic and speak straight to the survival centers of her brain. This is why some women feel drawn to a man without knowing why, and completely indifferent to another who seems perfect on paper. Her biology isn't judging charm, it's judging consistency. And here's where Machiavelli would have advised you differently than most men ever expect. He would have told you that influence begins with presence, not words. He believed a leader doesn't declare stability. He radiates it. A woman reacts the same way. She doesn't trust promises. She trusts patterns. Picture this clearly. You're talking to a woman, and she opens up about something personal. Not deeply emotional, just slightly vulnerable. Most men rush to reassure her, to fix the moment, to show that they're safe. But that actually makes her nervous system tighten, not relax, because reassurance feels like pressure. But a man who listens without performing, who stays steady, who doesn't break eye contact or interrupt, her body interprets that as strength. It tells her, "I can breathe here." Another example, she tests you with a small shift in tone, a subtle challenge, a moment of tension. Most men apologize instantly or overreact, but the man who stays composed, who smiles slightly, who answers without rushing, he feels grounded. He feels like someone who won't crumble during real stress. That's when her chest softens. That's when her breathing changes. That's when interest begins, because her instincts aren't responding to charm. They're responding to stability. And here's a truth most men never realize. Emotional safety doesn't feel like excitement to her. It feels like relief. Relief that she doesn't have to guess. Relief that she doesn't have to manage the energy. Relief that she can relax into her feminine rhythm because your presence doesn't shake. Your takeaway is simple but powerful. Don't perform stability. Embody it. Move slower. React slower. Speak with intention. Let your energy stay the same even when hers shifts. When you do this, you activate the oldest mechanism in female attraction. Her mind may still be deciding, but her body will have already cast its vote. Here's the second hack to take advantage of. You must absolutely understand how timing creates more attraction than intensity ever will. Machiavelli would have advised you that the human heart responds more strongly to rhythm than to effort. A brief moment of warmth opens the door, but a well-placed silence makes her step inside on her own. This is the pattern every woman falls into without realizing it, because her brain is not reacting to romance. It's reacting to contrast. When a man gives her a small dose of presence, her dopamine rises. When he then becomes quiet, a pocket of suspense forms in her mind. That suspense doesn't feel like confusion to her. It feels like depth. Her brain starts replaying the moment, trying to predict the next one. And that prediction loop becomes desire long before she labels it as such. Imagine it clearly. You're talking with her, the energy is good, she's laughing, she feels seen. Most men would push harder at this moment, flooding her with messages or attention, in fear of losing the momentum. But the man who understands psychology does the opposite. He lets the moment breathe. He leaves a little silence, a tiny bit of space, just enough for her mind to stay active, not ignored, not abandoned, just paused. Her nervous system interprets that pause as anticipation, and anticipation is the strongest psychological glue there is. This is why she keeps checking her phone without admitting it. Her body is waiting for resolution. Her biology is now participating. Another example. You offer a compliment that isn't desperate, not delivered for validation, but placed with intention. Short, real, and calmly delivered. You don't follow it with more flattery. You let the compliment land, and you shift the topic naturally. That micro-withdrawal forces her brain to hold on to the moment longer. She doesn't just hear the compliment, she returns to it. This repetition is not emotional, it's chemical. Her brain gives value to what feels rare. This is where Machiavelli's insight becomes surprisingly accurate. He believed influence comes from creating curiosity, not certainty. A ruler who reveals everything loses mystery. A ruler who reveals nothing loses loyalty. But the ruler who reveals just enough keeps attention without force. A woman responds to men the same way. Consistent warmth feels stable but forgettable. Constant distance feels cold. But the man who blends presence with perfectly calibrated pauses becomes unforgettable because her brain cannot predict him. And what the brain cannot predict, it cannot ignore. Your takeaway is simple. Don't rush the high points. Let silence do part of the work. Speak with intention, then step back just enough to let her thoughts fill the space with curiosity. When you master this rhythm, you don't chase her attention. Her biology starts chasing yours. Here's the third hack to take advantage of. You must absolutely understand how a woman's brain confuses anticipation with emotion. Machiavelli would have warned you that the human mind does not fall in love with certainty. It falls in love with the tension that surrounds it. The real hook isn't the reward itself, but the feeling of almost getting it. That almost is where dopamine lives. And dopamine is the chemical that makes her return to you even when she swears she's in control. Think of how it begins. She receives a message from you that feels slightly different. Calm, centered, not chasing. Her brain lights up because it wasn't guaranteed. That tiny surprise gives her a dopamine spike. She smiles without knowing why. Then the hours pass. You don't flood her with attention. You don't check in every 5 minutes. You leave space just enough for her thoughts to replay the moment. That replay triggers another small dopamine rise. Slowly, without any dramatic gesture, you've placed her in a loop her biology responds to more strongly than her logic. Now imagine another scenario. You end a conversation on a high note, but instead of dragging it out, instead of stretching the moment until it loses its flavor, you step away gracefully. That exit, that unfinished energy, that cliffhanger, her mind holds onto it. She doesn't miss you. She misses the chemical prediction that more is coming. That's why her thoughts drift back to you when she least expects it. The brain is not addicted to presence. It's addicted to anticipation. Machiavelli would have advised you to never give constant access to yourself because the mind devalues what it can predict. And here, neuroscience agrees completely. Stanford researchers showed that unpredictable rewards, a message, a look, a compliment given at the right moment, activate more dopamine than consistent ones. That's why a woman can say she likes stability, yet emotionally respond more intensely to rhythm, timing, and surprise. Not chaos, contrast. Let's illustrate it one more way. You send her a voice note, calm tone, steady pace, masculine presence. She listens twice, maybe 3 times. Then you go quiet. Not distant, not cold, simply occupied. During that gap, her brain begins weaving the story for you. She imagines the next message, the next moment, the next feeling. You didn't create obsession. Her biology did. You simply respected the rule every manipulator uses and every emotionally intelligent man understands. Suspense is stronger than reassurance. And here's the truth that keeps the loop alive. Dopamine doesn't rise when she gets your attention. It rises when she wonders if she will. That's why the man who manages timing manages her focus. Not through force, not through playing games, but through the simple awareness that the brain attaches more strongly to what it cannot fully predict. Your advantage is recognizing this. You don't become memorable by giving more. You become memorable by giving with precision. Here's the 4th hack to take advantage of. You must absolutely understand how softness creates loyalty faster than intensity ever could. Machiavelli would have advised you that power is never taken by force. It's given through comfort. And in a woman's biology, comfort has a name. Oxytocin. This is the quiet chemical that makes her relax around you, open up to you, and attach to you even if she swore she wouldn't. It starts with very small signals, the way you hold eye contact without rushing, the way your voice slows down instead of speeding up, the way your presence feels steady instead of chaotic. These moments release little drops of oxytocin into her system, creating a sense of warmth she doesn't fully understand. She won't describe it as chemistry. She'll describe it as "I feel safe around him." But safety and attachment are the same language to her nervous system. Picture this clearly. You're sitting with her, talking about something simple, not even emotional. You lean back, you listen, you let her finish her thoughts. Most men interrupt or try to impress. You don't. You let the moment shape itself. That calm energy lowers her cortisol and raises her oxytocin. Her body begins associating your presence with peace. She won't notice it happening. But the next time something stresses her, you'll be the first face that comes to her mind. That is not romance. That is conditioning. Another example. Your touch is rare but meaningful. Maybe your hand brushes hers when you hand her something, or you place a steady hand on her lower back as you guide her through a crowded space. You don't linger. You don't act needy. You offer contact only when it fits the moment. That scarcity makes the oxytocin spike stronger. A touch that isn't constant becomes a touch the brain remembers. Machiavelli would have told you that humans trust what gives them relief. And neuroscience agrees. When oxytocin rises, stress drops, judgment softens, and a woman becomes more forgiving, more patient, more emotionally open. This is why she'll overlook small mistakes, or why she'll think about you during quiet moments, or why she'll talk to you about things she doesn't share with others. Her biology is pulling her closer long before her mind understands the process. But here's the twist that makes this hack powerful. Oxytocin doesn't just create trust. It blinds her to inconsistencies. If you've ever wondered why a woman stays attached, even when the situation doesn't make sense, this is why. Her nervous system has already decided you feel safe. Her logic arrives too late. Your advantage is simple. Give warmth with intention, not excess. Let your presence feel calm, selective, steady. Because a woman doesn't fall for the man who overwhelms her. She falls for the man who makes her nervous system exhale. Here's the 5th hack to take advantage of. You must absolutely understand how intensity imprints itself deeper than comfort ever will. Machiavelli would have advised you that the human mind remembers tension far longer than peace, and modern biology proves him right. When a moment feels emotionally sharp, her body releases cortisol, the hormone that turns experiences into high-definition memories. That's why one look, one pause, one shift in your tone can stay with her for days. Picture this. You're talking with her, sharing a calm moment. Then you suddenly go quiet for half a second. Not cold, not annoyed, just a subtle change in your energy. Her brain notices instantly. That micro dip in predictability triggers a small cortisol rise. Suddenly, the moment feels important. She pays more attention. She remembers every detail, your expression, your posture, even your breathing. You didn't create stress, you created significance. Here's another scene. She says something vulnerable, and instead of rushing to comfort her, you hold her gaze. Steady, grounded, unshaken. That stillness creates a spark of tension, just enough for her body to register the moment as meaningful. Later, she'll replay that interaction without understanding why it felt so intense. It's because cortisol sharpened the memory for her. This isn't about creating chaos. It's about allowing natural contrast. A smooth moment followed by a tiny pause. A warm presence followed by a thoughtful silence. A predictable rhythm interrupted just slightly. Those micro-contrasts tell her nervous system, pay attention, this matters. Her body stores the entire experience like a photograph. Machiavelli would remind you that influence grows in moments where emotion is awakened, not overwhelmed, just awakened. When you understand how to create small shifts in pace, tone, or energy, you don't have to force connection. Her biology does the work for you because calm makes her feel safe, but subtle tension makes her remember you. Here's the sixth hack to take advantage of. You must absolutely understand how rare moments become the ones her mind values the most. Machiavelli would have advised you that excess destroys appreciation, and scarcity creates meaning. Psychology simply adds the science behind it. When rewards come unpredictably, her dopamine rises higher, faster, and more intensely than when affection is constant. That rhythm, presence followed by space, becomes a loop her nervous system can't ignore. Imagine this clearly. You give her a moment of genuine warmth, a compliment delivered calmly, a look that feels intentional, a small gesture that hits deeper than words. Most men would keep giving, flooding her with attention until the moment drowns. But you don't. You step back, not abruptly, but with quiet confidence, as if your life is full and your emotions are never rushed. Her brain registers the shift instantly. The warmth becomes rare, and rare becomes valuable. Now picture another scenario. You're texting her. The conversation flows, her excitement rises, and right when the energy peaks, you leave a small pause, not a disappearance, not a game, just a breath. Her mind doesn't feel rejected. It feels activated. She reopens your messages. She replays your voice. She imagines the next moment. That imagining is the addiction. Her biology is now participating in the connection, even when you're not present. Here's the twist. It's not the silence that creates the attachment. It's the contrast. The contrast between warmth and unpredictability, between yes and not yet, between connection and space. Women don't chase presence. They chase the feeling of wanting more of it. Machiavelli would have told you that influence comes from controlling the tempo of emotion, not the volume of effort. When you manage the rhythm, a touch here, a pause there, a look that arrives at the right time, you anchor yourself in her imagination without force because her brain isn't wired to crave what is always available. It's wired to crave what feels meaningful, uncertain, and just out of reach your advantage. You give enough to spark desire, and just enough space for her biology to chase it. Here's the seventh hack to take advantage of. You must absolutely understand that attraction begins long before she believes she's choosing. Machiavelli would have advised you that humans rarely act from logic. They act from instinct, wearing the mask of choice. And for a woman, those instincts start firing before she even speaks a word to you. Picture the moment she notices you. Not the conversation, the instant. Her brain scans you in milliseconds. your posture, your calm, your tone, your stillness. None of this is conscious. Her nervous system is running an ancient checklist designed for survival. Does he feel steady? Does he feel safe? Does he feel like someone I could understand? She doesn't decide. Her biology reacts. A slight shift in her breath, a small spark in her focus, a micro relaxation in her shoulders. That's not romance, that's instinct. Now imagine another scene. You talk to her with quiet certainty, not oversharing, not chasing, not explaining your worth, just existing with intention. Her brain releases dopamine because the interaction feels new, then oxytocin because your calm feels safe, then adrenaline because something about you feels unpredictable. She tells herself, I don't know why, but I'm drawn to him. But you do know why. Her chemistry fired the first shot. Her thoughts arrived afterward. Here's the twist. Her mind will defend this process as choice. She'll describe it as vibes, energy, connection, when in truth, it's her biology interpreting your signals faster than she can translate them into language. Machiavelli would have smiled at this, because he believed people rarely understand the true reasons behind their own attraction. And here is where the illusion forms. When her instincts fire first, she believes her emotions are logical. When her chemistry reacts first, she believes her desire is destiny. When her nervous system relaxes around you, she believes you're different. But the reality is simpler. You controlled the input. Her biology handled the output. This doesn't make her weak. It makes her human. Attraction is a reaction, not a decision. And once you understand this, the entire dynamic changes. You stop trying to convince her. You stop trying to chase her. You stop trying to make her choose you because you finally realize something powerful. Her body chooses long before her mind ever catches up. Here's the final hack to take advantage of. The one Machiavelli would have insisted you understand above all others. You must absolutely know that awareness is the only force that breaks every hidden pattern. Because once a woman sees the game loses its power. Imagine her standing at the edge of two worlds. In the first, she moves through instinct, dopamine pulling her forward, oxytocin softening her judgment, cortisol engraving memories she can't forget. Every rise and fall in your attention shapes her reactions before she even realizes it. Her emotions feel like choices, but biology is writing the script behind her back. But there is a second world. A world she steps into the moment she becomes aware of what's happening underneath the surface. When she notices how her body reacts before her mind. When she names what she feels instead of drowning in it. When she understands that unpredictability creates desire, that safety creates attachment, that scarcity creates obsession. Machiavelli would have called this moment self-mastery, the point where a human stops being moved and starts choosing their direction. Modern psychology calls it activating the rational brain. But the experience is the same. The spell breaks. Picture this shift. A woman who once replayed your messages now studies her own reactions. A woman who once confused silence for rejection now recognizes it as chemistry. A woman who once chased emotional highs now sees the pattern clearly. Warmth, uncertainty, reward, withdrawal. What once felt personal now feels predictable, and the moment it becomes predictable, it loses control over her. This is the transformation Machiavelli hinted at long before neuroscience existed. The person who understands their own nature becomes untouchable. Because awareness turns every emotional storm into information. It turns instinct into insight. It turns reaction into choice. And once she reaches that point, something powerful happens. She doesn't stop feeling, she starts leading. She can love without losing herself. She can desire without dissolving into confusion. She can walk away not with anger, but with clarity. This final truth is the core of everything. Every trick, every pattern, Every hidden influence fades the moment she sees it. No more illusions, no more chemical traps, no more unconscious attachment. She steps out of the maze because she finally understands it. And once she understands it, she becomes the one choosing, genuinely, consciously, freely. That is the real ending. The moment she stops being shaped by the unseen and becomes the one shaping her own future. If you've reached this point, then you already felt the shift. The moment where everything we covered stops being information and becomes clarity. You now see how chemistry, timing, uncertainty, and instinct shape attraction long before logic arrives. And once you see the pattern, you stop being pulled by it. Think of it like standing above a maze you used to be trapped inside. Suddenly every path, every turn, every illusion becomes obvious. Therefore, that's your new advantage. That's your new power to be undeniable. If this opened your eyes and you're serious about becoming the man who's in full control of his life, my book is now available. The Undeniable Man, Built to be Chosen. It's a strategic guide for men who want to attract, lead, and dominate in their love life and beyond. Whether you're single or in a relationship, no fluff, no tricks, just pure, powerful strategy that will set you apart from 99% of men, and that you will actually use every day. The link is in the description. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep your thoughts in your head. Write a comment, even just a few words. It helps you remember these lessons, and it might help someone else too. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content, and share it with someone who, in your eyes, needs it right now. Just trust your instinct. We're all trying to get clearer, more solid inside. So let's build minds that don't break.